The mining asteroid spun slowly in the darkness of space. Jinwoo wiped sweat from his face as he worked on the broken drill. The machine was old and always breaking down, but it was his job to fix it. He had been working on this rock for 2 years. Now, the pay was good and someone had to do the hard jobs. Earth needed the rare metals they dug up here. The asteroid was far from home, but Jinwoo did not mind being alone. The comm system crackled to life. All workers, return to base now. This is not a drill. Jinwoo looked up from his work. The voice sounded scared. He had never heard Captain Minho sound scared before. Something was wrong. He grabbed his tools and ran toward the main building. Other miners were running too. Everyone looked worried. In the distance, Jinwoo could see bright lights in space. Ships were coming toward them. "What is happening?" Jinwoo asked another worker. "Raiders," the man said. "Big ships. They came out of nowhere." Jinwoo felt his stomach drop. Raiders meant trouble. They took what they wanted and left nothing behind. Sometimes they took people too. The base alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. Captain Minho's voice came over the speakers again. "Get to the escape pods now. Move fast." Jinwoo ran toward the pod bay. The tunnels were full of scared people pushing and shoving. He could hear explosions outside. The raiders were already attacking. Near the pod bay, Jinwoo saw something that made him stop. A small ship had crashed into the side of the asteroid. It was not one of theirs. The ship was white and smooth, different from human ships. Smoke was coming from a crack in its side. Most people ran past the crashed ship. They wanted to get away. But Jinwoo heard something. A sound like crying. Someone was trapped inside. "Help me!" a weak voice called out. The words were strange, but Jinwoo could understand them. He looked toward the escape pods. There were only a few left. If he stopped to help, he might not get away. But someone was hurt and needed help. Jinwoo made his choice. He ran to the crashed ship. The hull was cracked open. Inside, he could see the pilot. It was not human. The being was small with blue skin and large eyes. Blood was running down her face. A heavy piece of metal had fallen on her legs. "Please," she said. "I cannot move." Jinwoo did not think twice. He climbed into the broken ship. The metal piece was heavy, but he was strong from years of mining work. He lifted it off her legs. The alien woman tried to stand but fell down. Her legs were hurt bad. "I will carry you," Jinwoo said. "Why?" she asked. "You do not know me." "You need help," Jinwoo said simply. He picked her up. She was lighter than he expected. Her skin felt warm, just like human skin. She was scared, he could tell. Her big eyes looked at him with surprise. "My name is Nala," she said as he carried her toward the pods. "Jinwoo," he replied. The tunnel shook as another explosion hit the asteroid. Rocks fell from the ceiling. Jinwoo ran as fast as he could while holding Nala. When they reached the pod bay, only one escape pod was left. Captain Minho was waiting by it. "Jinwoo, get in now!" Minho shouted. "The raiders are breaking through." Jinwoo ran to the pod with Nala in his arms. But when they got there, he saw a problem. The pod was made for one person. It would be tight. For two. "There is not enough air for both of us," Nala said. She had seen the same thing. "We will share," Jinwoo said. He helped her into the pod first, then squeezed in beside her. Captain Minho slammed the pod door shut. "Launch now!" he yelled. The pod shot out into space. Through the small window, Jinwoo could see the asteroid getting smaller. Big dark ships surrounded it. The raiders had won. Inside the pod, the air was getting thin. The warning light was flashing. Red. Jinwoo took off his helmet and gave it to Nala. "No," she said. "You will die." "We take turns," Jinwoo said. 5 minutes each. They passed the helmet back and forth as the pod drifted through space. Nala told him she was a traitor. Her people, the Vellani, were peaceful. They bought and sold things between different worlds. She had stopped at the asteroid to trade for metals when the raiders attacked. "The raiders are called Korthak," she said. "They are very bad. They take people as slaves." Jinwoo felt sick. His friends were still back there. The raiders had them now. Hours passed. The air got worse and worse. Both of them were getting weak. Jinwoo was not sure they would live. Then Nala's comm device started beeping. She pressed a button with shaking hands. "Nala, where are you?" a voice said in her language. "Here," she whispered back. "Send help." A Vellani ship found them floating in space. When the rescue team opened the pod, both Jinwoo and Nala were barely alive. On the Vellani ship, doctors took care of both of them. Nala's legs were broken, but she would heal. Jinwoo had breathed too much bad air, but he would be okay too. "You saved my life," Nala said from her bed in the medical room. "Anyone would have done the same thing," Jinwoo replied. Nala looked at him with her big eyes. "No," she said, "not anyone. You had a chance to escape safely. Instead, you chose to help a stranger. You shared your air with someone you did not know. My people will remember this." Jinwoo did not know what she meant. He was just happy they were both alive. But as their ship flew away from the asteroid, he thought about his friends who were still trapped with the raiders. Captain Minho and the others were prisoners now. The Korthak would make them work as slaves. "Your people help my friends?" Jinwoo asked. Nala looked sad. "My people do not fight wars. We believe in peace. I am sorry." Jinwoo nodded. He understood. The Vellani were traitors, not soldiers. But his heart felt heavy thinking about his friends. As they traveled to the Vellani homeworld, Jinwoo did not know that his simple act of kindness would change everything. He did not know that saving one life would start something much bigger. All he knew was that when someone needed help, you helped them. That was what humans did. That was what made them human. The ship flew deeper into space, carrying both a human who had shown the best of his species and a Vellani who would never forget what she had seen. The Vellani homeworld was beautiful. Cities made of white stone covered green hills. Rivers flowed between tall buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like trees. Jinwoo had never seen anything like it. He was feeling better now. The doctors had fixed his lungs. Nala was walking again, too, though she still used a stick to help her. They had become friends during the trip to her world. "Today I must speak to the High Council," Nala told him as they walked through the city. "I will tell them what you did." Jinwoo did not understand why this was important. "I just helped someone who was hurt. That is normal." Nala stopped walking and looked at him. "No, Jinwoo, it is not normal. Most beings think of themselves first. You could have died saving me. You gave me your air when you needed it too. This is very special. The council building was huge. It was built into the side of a mountain. Inside, the walls were covered with books and art. Everything was peaceful and quiet. Elder Korin was the oldest member of the council. His blue skin was pale with age, and his eyes held great wisdom. He sat at the center of a circle with 12 other council members. "Nala of the Western Traders," Elder Korin said. "Tell us what happened at the human mining station." Nala walked, to the center of the circle. Her voice was clear and strong. I was trading at the asteroid when the Korthak attacked. My ship was damaged. I was trapped and hurt. She told them about the explosions and the panic. She described how everyone ran to escape the raiders, how the escape pods were filling up fast. Then I saw a human coming toward my crashed ship. Everyone else was running away, but he came toward danger. His name is Jin Woo. Some council members looked surprised. Humans were new to this part of space. Most Vellani did not know much about them. He found me trapped under metal. He lifted it off me, even though it was heavy. When I could not walk, he carried me to the escape pods. Elder. Corin leaned forward. Why did he help you? What did you promise him? Nothing, Nala said. I promised him nothing. He did not ask for payment or trade. He saw someone who needed help and he helped. The council whispered among themselves. This was unusual. Most species helped their own kind first. Strangers came second, if at all. There is more, Nala continued. The escape pod was made for one person. There was not enough air for both of us. Jinwoo gave me his helmet. He would have died to keep me alive. Council member Baron shook her head. This makes no sense. Why would he risk his life for someone he did not know? I asked him the same thing, Nala said. He said anyone would have done the same thing. But that is not true. I have traveled to many worlds and met many species. Most would have saved themselves. Elder Corin was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Where is this human now? Here, on our world. The doctors are taking care of him. Bring him to us. We would like to meet him. Soon, Jinwoo stood before the High Council. He felt small in the big room. All the council members were staring at him. Human Jinwoo, Elder Corin said. Nala has told us what you did. Is her story true? Yes, sir, Jinwoo said. But it was not special. Anyone would help someone who was hurt. The council members looked at each other. Here was proof that Nala was right. This human really believed that helping strangers was normal. Tell us about your friends who were captured, Council Member Yoren said. Jinwoo's face became sad. The Korthak took them. Captain Minho and 40 other people. They are slaves now, working in mines or building things. The Korthak are cruel. Many will die. And you want us to help rescue them? Elder Corin asked. I hope so, Jinwoo said. But I understand if you cannot. Your people are peaceful. War is not your way. Elder Corin nodded slowly. You are right. The Vellani have not fought in wars for 500 years. We believe that violence only creates more violence. We trade and make peace, not war. Jinwoo's shoulders dropped. He had hoped, but he was not surprised. However, Elder Corin continued, what you did for Nala was remarkable. You showed great courage and kindness. This deserves honor. The council voted to give Jinwoo a medal for his bravery. They also gave him a ship to return to human space, but they would not help rescue his friends. After the council meeting, Nala walked with Jinwoo in her family's garden. She could see he was sad. I am sorry, she said. I hoped they would help. I understand, Jinwoo replied. Your people have their own ways. Peace is good. But those humans are suffering, Nala said. They are slaves because they tried to protect others. You saved me. But I cannot save your friends. That night, Nala could not sleep. She kept thinking about Jinwoo carrying her to safety. She remembered him giving her his helmet, even though he might die without it. She got up and walked to her. Window. Outside, the moons of her world shone bright in the sky. Somewhere out there, human prisoners were working as slaves. They were suffering because raiders had attacked them while they were just trying to make a living. Nala made a decision that would change everything. The High Council said they would not help. But the High Council was not all Vellani. There were others who might think differently. She started making a list of names, Vellani who might listen to her story. People who might believe that saving innocent lives was worth the risk. Her first name was Hanul, a young military officer who studied battle tactics. He was smart and brave, but like all Vellani, he had never fought in a real war. Then she wrote Down Tae-won, who captained a cargo ship. He was strong and knew how to command others. Do-hyun worked with weapons, making sure Vellani defense systems stayed ready. He understood how ships fought each other. Soo-jin was an expert with communication systems. She could help coordinate any rescue mission. There were others, too. Kyung-soo, a human diplomat who had lived among the Vellani for years. Yoonji, a doctor who believed in helping all life. Nala stared at her list. These people might listen to her. They might understand that sometimes peace required action, that sometimes you had to fight to protect the innocent. She thought about Elder Corrin's words. The Vellani had not fought wars for 500 years. Maybe it was time to remember that. Peace was not just the absence of fighting. Real peace meant that good people could live without fear of evil ones. Jinwoo had risked his life for her without asking for anything back. Now it was time to return that kindness, not just to him, but to all the humans who were suffering. The next morning, Nala began visiting the people on her list. She told them Jinwoo's story. She described his courage and kindness. She talked about the human prisoners who needed help. Some said no. They were afraid or believed the High Council was right, but others listened. Others remembered that the Vellani had once been warriors, long ago, before they chose the path of peace. Slowly, carefully, Nala began building something new. A group of Vellani who believed that when innocent lives were at stake, you could not just talk about peace. You had to fight for it. Jinwoo did not know what Nala was planning. He was getting ready to leave for human space, to tell Earth what had happened to the mining station. But he would not leave alone. Soon, he would have help from the most unlikely source. The peaceful Vellani were about to learn that sometimes the only way to protect peace was to go to war. Captain Minho had escaped the asteroid attack, but his heart was heavy. 43 of his people were prisoners now. He had seen the Korthak ships take them away. He knew what that meant. His friends were slaves now, working in terrible conditions, until they died. Minho flew from world to world, begging for help. His first stop was the Nexari homeworld. The Nexari were famous for their technology. Their cities were full of machines that could do amazing things. Ambassador Wex listened to Minho's request in a room full of glowing screens. "We are sorry for your loss," the Nexari said, "but rescuing prisoners from Grimhold Prime would be very expensive. We would need many ships and weapons. Many of our people would die." "The humans saved one of the Vellani," Minho said. "They risked their lives for a stranger. Surely that means something." Wex touched a screen that showed numbers and charts. "Our computers have calculated the cost. We would lose at least 50 ships and 2,000 soldiers. The humans are not worth that price." Minho felt anger rising in his chest, but he stayed calm. "They are people, not numbers on your screen." "Everything is numbers," Wex replied. That is how we make decisions. The mathematics do not support a rescue mission. Minho left the Nexari world with no help. His next stop was Draconis Prime, home of the warrior people called the Draconis. If anyone would understand fighting to save prisoners, it would be them. General Rax was covered in scars from many battles. His office was full of weapons and battle flags. He listened to Minho's story while sharpening a ceremonial sword. The Korthak are strong enemies, Rax said when Minho finished. Grimhold Prime is their greatest fortress. It has never been conquered. But you are great warriors, Minho said. Your people are brave and strong. Rax nodded. Yes, we are. But we are not stupid. Fighting the Korthak at Grimhold Prime would be suicide. We would lose many ships and warriors for a few dozen humans we do not even know. One of those humans saved a Vellani stranger, Minho said. He showed great courage. Courage does not win battles against impossible odds, Rax replied. If your people want to rescue their friends, they must do it themselves. The third world Minho visited was the homeworld of the Aryan Trade Federation. The Aryans were the richest people in known space. Their cities were made of gold and precious stones. If anyone could afford a rescue mission, it was them. Merchant Prince Lux received Minho in a palace that sparkled with jewels. Everything was expensive and beautiful. Lux himself wore clothes that cost more than most ships. A rescue mission to Grimhold Prime would cost millions, Lux said after hearing Minho's request. Ships, weapons, soldiers, supplies. The expense would be enormous. We could pay you back, Minho said. Earth has resources. We could trade with you for years. Lux laughed, but it was not a kind sound. Your entire planet could not pay for such an operation. Besides, why should we risk our wealth for a handful of prisoners? Business is about profit, not charity. The humans showed kindness to the Vellani, Minho said. That should matter. Kindness does not pay bills, Lux replied. Come back when you have something valuable to offer. Minho visited 6 more worlds. The story was the same everywhere. The aliens were sorry about the human prisoners. They thought Jinwu's rescue of Nala was admirable, but none of them would risk their people or resources to help. On the water world of Aquarius, the fish-like Aquarians told him their military was designed for underwater fighting. They could not help in space battles. The crystal beings of Silicate Prime said they moved too slowly to be useful in fast space combat. The methane breathers of Titan Station explained that they could not survive on ships designed for oxygen breathing species. Every species had an excuse. Every government had reasons why they could not help. Finally, Minho returned to Earth. He had been gone for 3 months. His superiors wanted to know what he had learned. Admiral Park listened to Minho's report in the underground command center on Earth. The room was full of computers and communication equipment, but it all seemed primitive compared to what Minho had seen on alien worlds. So no one will help us? Admiral Park asked. No one, Minho replied. They all say it is too dangerous and too expensive. Admiral Park looked at the star charts on the wall. Earth had only been in space for 50 years. They had a few colonies on nearby worlds, but they were still weak compared to the old alien civilizations. What about our own forces? Admiral Park asked. Could we mount a rescue mission? General Kim, the head of Earth's space military, shook her head. We have maybe 30 combat ships total. The Korthak have hundreds at Grimhold Prime. It would be suicide. So we abandon our people? Minho asked angrily. Admiral Park's face was sad. Sometimes that is all we can do. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We are too small and weak to save everyone. They are slaves, Minho said, working in terrible conditions. Many will die. And if we attack Grimhold Prime, all our people will die, including the rescue force, General Kim replied. We cannot save 43 people by getting hundreds more killed. Minho left the meeting feeling defeated. He went to his quarters and stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, his friends were suffering. Captain Yoon, Engineer Tai, Pilot Sue, and 40 others were working as slaves for the Korthak. He thought about Jinwoo's story. How he had risked everything to save one Vellani stranger. Jinwoo had not stopped to calculate costs or think about politics. He had just seen someone who needed help and acted. But individual courage was different from military strategy. You could not rescue prisoners from a fortress world just by being brave. You needed ships, weapons, and soldiers. You needed resources that Earth did not have. Minho wrote letters to the families of the captured miners. He told them that their loved ones were still alive, but that rescue was impossible. He explained that Earth was too weak to fight the Korthak Empire. Some families cried. Others got angry. A few asked why the aliens would not help, since a human had saved one of them. Minho did not have a good answer. He had asked the same question on every world he visited. The response was always the same. Every species had their own problems. Every government had their own people to protect. Why risk everything for strangers? It was a logical answer. It made sense from a practical point of view, but it felt wrong to Minho. Jinwoo had not thought about logic when he saved Nala. He had thought about doing what was right. Weeks passed. The captured humans were listed as casualties. Earth moved on to other problems. There were new colonies to build, new trade routes to establish, new diplomatic relationships to develop. But Minho could not forget. Every night, he looked at the stars and wondered if his friends were still alive. He wondered if they thought about Earth and hoped for rescue. He did not know that far away, on the Vellani homeworld, someone else was thinking about the same thing. Someone who had not forgotten what it felt like to be saved by a stranger's kindness. Nala remembered every detail of her rescue. She remembered Jinwoo's strong hands lifting the metal off her legs. She remembered him carrying her through the falling rocks. She remembered him giving her his helmet so she could breathe. Most of all, she remembered his words when she asked why he was helping her. "You need help," he had said, as if that was the only reason needed. The Vellani High Council had decided not to get involved. They valued peace above all else, but Nala was beginning to understand that sometimes peace required action. Sometimes the only way to protect innocent people was to fight for them. She thought about the human prisoners on Grimhold Prime. They were suffering because their friend had shown kindness to a stranger. They were slaves because they had tried to defend others. The galaxy had decided they were not worth saving. But Nala disagreed. She was beginning to believe that every innocent life was worth saving, no matter what it cost. And she was not the only Vellani who felt that way. Nala met Hanol at a quiet cafe in the old part of the city. The young military officer looked uncomfortable. He kept looking around to make sure no one was listening to their conversation. "What you are asking is dangerous," Hanol said quietly. "The High Council has decided. We do not get involved in wars." Nala leaned forward across the small table. "This is not about war. This is about debt. A human saved my life. Now humans are suffering as slaves. We owe them help." "The Council does not see it that way," Hanul replied. They think individual actions and government policy are different things. Are they? Nala asked. When I was trapped and hurt, did I care about government policy? Did Jinwoo think about politics when he carried me to safety? Hanul stirred his drink with a spoon. He was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. I have studied the battle reports from Grimhold Prime. It is a fortress world. The Korthak have hundreds of ships there. Any attack would fail. Maybe, Nala said. But maybe not. You are smart, Hanul. You understand tactics and strategy. If anyone could find a way, it would be you. Even if I could plan a mission, who would fly the ships? The Vellani military will not disobey the council. Not the military, Nala agreed. But what about individuals? People who choose to act on their own. That evening, Nala visited Captain Taewon at the spaceport. His cargo ship was loading supplies for a trade run to the outer colonies. Taewon was a big man with kind eyes and strong hands. I heard about your meeting with Hanul, Taewon said as they walked along his ship's loading dock. Word travels. Fast in the trader community. Will you help us? Nala asked directly. Taewon stopped walking and looked at her. Help you do what? Attack the strongest fortress in Korthak space? That sounds like suicide. Help me repay a debt, Nala replied. A human risked his life to save me. Now humans are slaves because of what happened. I cannot ignore that. The High Council has spoken, Taewon said. We are a peaceful people. Yes, we are peaceful, Nala agreed. But what does that mean? Does it mean we let innocent people suffer when we could help them? Does it mean we ignore debts of honor? Taewon was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, how many ships would we need? The next person Nala visited was Do-hyun, the weapons engineer. His workshop was full of defensive systems designed to protect Vellani trade ships from pirates. Nothing too powerful, just enough to discourage attacks. You want me to modify cargo ships for combat? Do-hyun asked after hearing Nala's proposal. That would take weeks of work, and the weapons would not be very strong. We do not need to win a big battle, Nala explained. We just need to get in, rescue the prisoners, and get out. Do-hyun shook his head. The Korthak fortress has shields and heavy guns. Cargo ships would be destroyed before they got close. What if we had a distraction? What if the Korthak were busy fighting something else? Like what? I do not know yet. But Hanul might have ideas. Sujin was harder to convince. The communications expert worked for the Vellani government. Getting involved in an unauthorized mission could end her career. I have a family to think about, Sujin said when Nala visited her office. If the government finds out I helped with this, I could go to prison. If we do nothing, innocent people will die as slaves, Nala replied. Can you live with that? It is not my responsibility, Sujin said. Those humans are not my people. Jinwoo thought I was his people when he saved me, Nala said quietly. He did not see a Vellani stranger. He saw someone who needed help. That made Sujin pause. She looked out her office window at the peaceful city below. Even if I wanted to. Help? What could I do? We would need someone to coordinate communications between ships during the mission. Someone who understands different alien communication systems. You are talking about a major military operation, Sujin said. I work with civilian systems, not warships. We would not have warships, Nala explained. Just modified cargo vessels. We would need your civilian skills. The most important person Nala approached was Kyung-soo, the human diplomat. He had lived among the Villani for 6 years, helping to build trade relationships between the two species. He understood both cultures. "This is very dangerous," Kyung-soo said when Nala explained her plan. "If you get caught, it could damage relations between our people for decades. And if we do nothing?" Nala asked. Kyung-soo sighed. "Then 43 innocent people stay slaves until they die. I know. I have thought about it every day since the attack." They were sitting in Kyung-soo's apartment, which was decorated with art from both worlds. Human paintings hung next to Villani sculptures. It showed how the two species could work together. "The official human government has asked for help," Kyung-soo continued. "Every major species has said no. Earth does not have the military power to attempt a rescue alone. But individuals might," Nala said. "People who care more about doing what is right than following official policy." "You could all be killed," Kyung-soo warned. "Jinwoo could have been killed saving me," Nala replied. That did not stop him. The last person Nala approached was Yoonji, a doctor who had spent time working in refugee camps. She had seen the results of wars and slavery. She understood suffering better than most. "I am not a soldier," Yoonji said when Nala found her at the medical center. "I heal people. I do not fight." "That is exactly why we need you," Nala explained. "If we rescue the prisoners, they will need medical care. They have been slaves for months. They will be hurt and sick." Yoonji looked around the clean, peaceful medical center. Everything was orderly and safe. The Villani world had not seen war in 500 years. People here did not understand what it meant to live in fear. "Tell me about this human who saved." "You," Yoonji said. Nala told the story again. How Jinwoo had risked everything for a stranger. How he had shared his air even though he might die without it. How he had carried her to safety without asking for anything in return. "He sounds like a good person," Yoonji said when the story was finished. "He is. And now he is suffering because his friends are slaves. He blames himself for surviving when they did not." That evening, all 7 of them met in secret at Nala's family home. They sat around a table in the garden, surrounded by flowering trees and the sound of running water. It was a peaceful place to plan something that would change their lives forever. "Before we go any further," Hanil said, "everyone needs to understand what we are talking about. This is not a rescue mission. This is a military assault on the most heavily defended world in Korthak space. Most of us will probably die." The group was quiet. Each person thought about what that meant. They had families, careers, comfortable lives. They would be giving up everything. "I have been studying the fortress," Hanul continued. "There might be a way to get a small force to the surface, but it would require perfect timing and a lot of luck." "What about ships?" Taewon asked. "We would need at least a dozen vessels, all modified for combat." "I can do the modifications," Do-hyun said. "But it will take time, and we will need to work in secret." "I can handle communications," Sujin added. "But we will need access to military communication codes." "I can help with that," Kyung-soo said. "The human government gave me emergency access codes when I started working here." "And I will take care of the medical side," Yoonji finished. "If we bring people out, they will need immediate treatment." Everyone looked at Nala. This had been her idea, her debt to repay, her choice to make. "I know what I am asking," she said slowly. "I know we might all die, but I keep thinking about Jinwoo carrying me through those falling rocks. He could have saved himself and left me to die. Instead, he chose to help a stranger. She looked around the table at each of them. The galaxy has decided that 43 human lives are not worth saving. I think the galaxy is wrong. I think every innocent life is worth saving no matter what it costs. Even if it costs our own lives? Taewon asked. Even then, Nala replied, because that is what Jinwoo would do. That is what anyone should do when innocent people are suffering. One by one, they each agreed to join the mission. It would take months of preparation. They would have to work in secret, gathering supplies, and modifying ships without the government finding out. They all knew they were probably going to die, but they also knew they could not live with themselves if they did nothing. Jinwoo had shown them what real courage looked like. Now it was their turn to show the same courage. The peaceful Villani were about to become warriors, not for conquest or glory, but for something much more important. They were going to fight for the simple idea that good people should help each other, no matter what species they were. The rescue mission was about to begin. The Villani rescue fleet hung in the darkness of space, hidden behind a dead moon. 12 cargo ships, all modified for combat. Each one carried volunteers who had never fought in a real battle. Captain Taewon stood on the bridge of his ship now, called the Mercy. Through the windows he could see the other vessels of their small fleet. Each ship had been transformed over the past 4 months. Do-Yun had worked day and night to install weapons and shields. All ships report ready, Sujin announced from the communications station. Her voice was steady, but Taewon could see her, hands shaking slightly. Hanel studied the tactical display showing Grimhold Prime. The Korthak Fortress world was protected by 3 orbital defense stations and over 200 warships. Against that, they had 12 modified cargo vessels and 67 volunteers. Remember the plan. Hanul spoke into the comm system so all ships could hear. We create a distraction at the Northern Defense Station. While the Korthak respond to that threat, the rescue team slip down to the surface at the mining complex. Nala sat in the co-pilot seat, checking her equipment one final time. She carried a translator device and medical supplies. Her job was to find the human prisoners and get them to the evacuation points. Are you sure about this? Taewon asked her quietly. No, Nala replied honestly, but I am sure about why we are doing it. Kyung-soo's voice came over the comm from his ship. The Hope. Human prisoners are being held at Mining Complex 7. That is where Jinwoo's friends will be. How do we know they are still alive? Asked Yunji from the medical ship. We do not, Kyung-soo admitted, but we have to hope. Hope is all we have right now. Do-Yun checked his weapon systems one more time. The guns on the cargo ships were not very powerful, but they would have to do. All weapons are charged and ready, he reported. Signal from the advanced scouts, Sujin announced. Korthak patrol routes confirmed. We have a small window in 20 minutes. The next 20 minutes felt like hours. Everyone on every ship was thinking the same thing. Most of them had never been in combat. They were traders, engineers, doctors, and diplomats, but they were here because they believed that innocent people deserved to be saved. This is it, Taewon announced. All ships, begin the approach. The rescue fleet moved toward Grimhold Prime. The planet looked like a giant ball of metal and rock. Huge mining operations covered its surface. Orbital factories processed raw materials. Everything was designed to support the Korthak war machine. Enemy sensors will detect us in 5 minutes, Hanil warned. Distraction team, prepare for attack. Run! Taewon ordered. 4 ships peeled away from the main group. Their job was to attack the Northern Defense Station and draw attention away from the real mission. Everyone knew it was a suicide run. Captain Yuri led the distraction team in his ship, the Brave. "It has been an honor," he said simply over the comm. The 4 ships rushed toward the defense station, firing everything they had. Alarms began screaming throughout the Korthak fleet. Warships turned to respond to the attack. "It is working," Hanol said excitedly. "Half their fleet is moving to intercept the distraction team." But the cost was terrible. One by one, the distraction ships were destroyed. Captain Yuri and 15 other volunteers died in the first few minutes of battle. They gave their lives to give the rescue mission a chance. "Surface teams, go now," Taewon ordered through his grief. 3 small shuttles launched from the rescue ships. Nala was in the first shuttle with Kyung-soo and 4 other Vallani. Their job was to find the prisoners and get them to the evacuation point. The shuttles flew low and fast toward the mining complex. Behind them, the space battle raged as the remaining rescue ships fought desperately against overwhelming odds. "We are taking heavy damage," reported Captain Min from the ship Courage. "Hull breach on deck 3. "Stay with us as long as you can," Taewon replied. Every ship they lost made the mission harder. On the surface, Nala's shuttle landed near Mining Complex 7. The building was huge and ugly, made of gray metal and concrete. Smoke poured from tall chimneys. The air smelled of chemicals and despair. "Guard. Towers at each corner," Kyung-soo observed as they approached the complex. "But most guards have been sent to deal with the space battle." They moved quickly and quietly toward the main building. Nala's heart was beating so fast she could hear it. She had never done anything like this before. But she kept thinking about Jinwoo carrying her to safety, and it gave her strength. Inside the complex, they found the human prisoners. They were thin and dirty, dressed in ragged work clothes. Many looked sick. They had been slaves for 4 months, working long hours with little food or medical care. "Who are you?" asked a prisoner with gray hair and tired eyes. Nala recognized him from Jinwoo's description. This was Captain Minho. "We are here to rescue you," Nala said in English. "Jinwoo sent us." Minho's eyes went wide. "Jinwoo is alive?" "Yes," Kyung-soo said quickly. "But we need to move fast. Can everyone walk?" Some prisoners were too weak to move quickly. Others were hurt from months of hard labor. Yoonji had been right. They would need a lot of medical care. "Carry the ones who cannot walk," Nala ordered. "We leave no one behind." As they moved toward the evacuation point, alarms started going off in the mining complex. The Korthak had discovered the rescue attempt. Enemy troops moving to intercept. Sujin's voice crackled over the comm. "You have maybe 10 minutes before they reach you." The rescue team ran as fast as they could while carrying the weakest prisoners. Behind them, they could hear Korthak soldiers shouting and running. At the evacuation point, the shuttles were waiting. But Korthak aircraft were approaching fast. The pilots would have to take off under fire. "Get everyone aboard," Nala shouted as they reached the shuttles. The loading took too long. There were 43 prisoners plus the rescue team. The shuttles were packed tight. Some people had to sit on the floor or stand pressed against the walls. The first shuttle took off just as Korthak fighters arrived. Laser blasts lit up the sky. The shuttle pilot, a young Vallani named Bong, flew with skill and courage, dodging enemy fire as he climbed toward space. The second shuttle was not so lucky. It took a direct hit and crashed before it could reach orbit. 8 rescued prisoners, and 3 Vallani volunteers died in the crash. The third shuttle, carrying Nala and Captain Minho, made it to space but was badly damaged. Smoke filled the cabin, and several systems had failed. "We are losing life support," the pilot reported. I can get us to the fleet, but barely. In space, the battle was going badly for the rescue ships. Only 6 of the original 12 were still fighting. The rest had been destroyed or were too damaged to continue. All remaining ships begin withdrawal, Taewon ordered. His own ship had lost half its weapons and was venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. But the Korthak were not going to let them escape easily. Fresh warships arrived from other parts of the system. The rescue fleet was trapped. We cannot outrun them, Hanul reported from his position at the tactical station. They are surrounding us. Captain Taewon made the same choice that Jinwoo had made months ago. He chose to sacrifice himself to save others. All ships except mine, jump to hyperspace now, he ordered. We are not leaving you, Nala said over the comm from her damaged shuttle. Yes, you are, Taewon replied firmly. Those prisoners need medical care. Get them home. That is an order. Do-Yun spoke up from the engine room of the Mercy. Captain, I am staying too. Someone needs to help you hold them off. No, Taewon said. You have a family. So did Jinwoo's friends, Do-Hyun replied. So do the people we just rescued. This is what we came here to do. In the end, Captain Taewon and 12 other volunteers stayed behind to buy time for the others to escape. They flew their damaged ship directly at the Korthak fleet, firing everything they had. The Mercy was destroyed in a ball of fire and light. But the sacrifice worked. The other ships escaped to hyperspace, carrying 35 rescued humans and the surviving Volani volunteers. As they flew through hyperspace toward home, Nala sat beside Captain Minho in the medical bay. He was being treated for malnutrition and several injuries, but he would live. Why? He asked her. Why did your people risk everything to save us? Nala thought about Captain Taewon and the others who had died. She thought about Captain Yuri and his brave suicide run. She thought about all the Volani who had given their lives for strangers. Because one of you saved one of us, she said simply. Jinwoo showed us what real courage looks like. We had to honor that. Minho closed his eyes, and Nala could see tears on his cheeks. So many good people died today. Yes, Nala agreed. But they died for something important. They died proving that species can help each other. They died showing the galaxy that innocent lives are always worth saving. The rescued humans would need months of medical care and counseling. The Volani volunteers who survived would face questions from their government about the unauthorized mission. But something had changed in the galaxy. The peaceful Volani had proven they could fight when necessary. A small group of individuals had shown that sometimes the right thing to do was more important than following orders. Most importantly, 35 human slaves were free. They would see their families again. They would tell their stories. And everyone who heard those stories would know that somewhere in the galaxy there were. The surviving rescue ships jumped out of hyperspace near a neutral space station called Haven Point. The station was old and rusty, but it was safe territory where ships could dock without questions being asked. Nala helped Captain Minho walk down the shuttle ramp. His legs were weak from months of hard labor, but his eyes were bright with hope. Behind them came the other rescued humans, all of them thin and tired, but alive. Yoonji had set up a temporary medical center in one of the station's cargo bays. She worked quickly, checking each rescued prisoner for injuries and illness. Many needed immediate treatment. Malnutrition, broken bones that healed wrong, chemical burns, she reported to Nala. These people have been through hell, but they will live. Kyung-soo was helping translate for the humans who could not speak Volani. He moved between the medical beds, making sure everyone understood what was happening. You are safe now, he told. Each person. The Villani rescued you. You are free. But even as they celebrated the successful rescue, everyone knew they were not truly safe yet. The Korthak Empire would be angry about the attack on Grimhold Prime. They would be looking for the rescue fleet. Incoming message from Korthak Space, Sujin announced from the communications center she had set up. The message was from Admiral Vrak, the Korthak military leader. His face appeared on the screen, showing sharp teeth and angry red eyes. To the criminals who attacked Grimhold Prime, Vrak said in his harsh voice, we know who you are. We will hunt you across the galaxy. You will pay for what you have done. He sounds mad, observed one of the rescued humans, a young engineer named Jay. Good, Nala replied. When evil people are angry, it means good people are doing something right. But Vrak's message contained more than just threats. He revealed something that shocked everyone. The human slaves were more valuable than you realize, the Admiral continued. They designed new mining equipment for us. They improved our ship engines. They built weapons that make our fleet stronger than ever before. Kyung-Soo looked alarmed. The Korthak have been using human knowledge to upgrade their military technology. That explains why they were keeping the prisoners alive, Hanul said. They were not just slaves. They were forced to work as engineers and designers. Captain, Minho nodded sadly. They made us build things for them. New tools, better computers, improved weapons. We tried to resist, but they threatened to hurt the sick and weak if we did not cooperate. This was terrible news. The Korthak were already strong, but with human technology, they would become much more dangerous. Other species would suffer if the Empire became more powerful. We need to warn the galaxy, Nala said. Everyone needs to know what the Korthak are doing, but first, they needed to get the rescued humans to safety. The space station was not a good place to stay for long. The Korthak had spies everywhere, and it would not take them long to track down the rescue fleet. Where can we go? Asked Hanul. The Korthak will be watching all the major trade routes. Earth, suggested Captain Minho. My people need to know what happened. They need to prepare for what is coming. The Korthak will expect that, Kyung-Soo said. They will have ships waiting along the routes to human space. As they discussed their options, an unexpected message arrived. It was from Elder Korin of the Villani High Council, Nala and the other volunteers, the elder said in his formal voice. You have defied the Council's decision. You have risked war with the Korthak Empire. But you have also shown great courage. Return to the homeworld. We need to discuss what you have learned. This was surprising. The Council had been angry about the unauthorized mission. Now they wanted to talk instead of punish. It could be a trap, Hanel warned. Maybe, Nala agreed. But Elder Korin has always been fair. If he wants to talk, we should listen. The rescued humans were divided into two groups. The sickest ones would go to the Villani homeworld for medical treatment. The others, including Captain Minho, would try to reach Earth to warn the human government about the Korthak's new technology. Before they separated, the humans wanted to thank their rescuers. They gathered in the station's main meeting room, a simple space with metal walls and basic furniture. Captain Minho stood before the Villani volunteers who had risked everything to save them. Many chairs were empty. Those who had died in the rescue would never come home. We do not have words in any language to thank you properly, Minho said. You are not our species. You owed us nothing. But you came anyway. You fought for us. You died for us. He looked directly at Nala. Jinwoo told me what you said when you organized this mission. You said one of us saved one of you, so you came back for all of us. That is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. The other humans nodded in agreement. Several were crying. They had been slaves, forgotten by the galaxy, written off as casualties. But these strangers had not forgotten them. "We will never forget what you did," said Engineer Jay. "If any of your people ever need help, humans will come. That is a promise." Young Pilot Sue, who had lost a lot of weight during her captivity, stood up weakly. "In our culture, when someone saves your life, they become family. You are all our family now." The Villani volunteers were moved by these words. They had expected to die on this mission. They had not expected to gain a new extended family across species lines. As the groups prepared to leave Haven Point, Sujin made an important discovery while monitoring communications. "The Korthak are mobilizing their entire fleet," she reported urgently. "They are not just looking for us, they are preparing for a major military campaign." "Against who?" Nala asked. "Everyone," Sujin replied, her face pale. "They are planning to attack multiple worlds at once. The technology they stole from the human prisoners has made them confident they can win a galactic war." This changed everything. The rescue mission had not just saved 35 humans. It had uncovered a threat to every free species in the galaxy. "We need to get this information to everyone," Kyung-soo said. "The Nexari, the Draconis, the Orions, everyone who refused to help with the rescue. They need to know what is coming." The two groups left Haven Point, traveling in different directions. Nala's group headed for the Villani homeworld, carrying the wounded humans and the vital intelligence about Korthak military plans. Captain Minho's group took a longer, more dangerous route toward human space. They traveled through small systems and avoided the main trade routes where Korthak ships might be waiting. During the journey, Minho had time to think about what had happened. He remembered visiting all those alien worlds, begging for help that never came. Every species had logical reasons why they could not help, but logic had not driven the Villani rescue mission. They had been motivated by something more powerful than logic, the simple belief that good people should help each other. Now the galaxy would learn what happened when species refused to stand together against evil. The Korthak had grown stronger by enslaving others and stealing their knowledge. If the free species had worked together from the beginning, this threat might never have developed. "Do you think the other species will listen now?" asked Engineer Jay as their ship traveled through hyperspace. "They will have to," Minho replied. "The Korthak are coming for all of us. Species that would not risk anything to save slaves will have to risk everything to save themselves." Meanwhile, on the ship heading to the Villani homeworld, Nala was having similar thoughts. She looked at the rescued humans sleeping in the medical bay. They had survived months of slavery and torture. Some would never fully recover from their injuries. But they were alive because a small group of Villani had chosen courage over caution. They had chosen to act when others would only talk. "Do you think it was worth it?" asked Hanoel quietly. "All the people who died, I mean." Nala thought about Captain Taewon and the others who had sacrificed themselves. She thought about the volunteers who had died in the crashed shuttle. Good people who would never see their families again. "Ask me again when this is over," she replied, "when we see what grows from the seeds they planted with their sacrifice." Both groups of ships continued their journeys, carrying rescued humans and vital intelligence about the Korthak threat. Behind them, the enemy was mobilizing for war, Ahead of them lay difficult conversations with governments that had refused to help. Species that had turned away from suffering would now have to face the consequences of their inaction. But something had changed in the galaxy. The rescue mission had proven that individuals could accomplish what governments would not attempt. It had shown that courage and compassion could cross species lines. Most importantly, it had demonstrated that when good people worked together, no one was forgotten. No life was expendable. No one was left behind. The war that was coming would test these lessons. But the foundation had been laid by Jinwoo's simple act of kindness and the Vellani response to that kindness. What grew from that foundation would determine the future of every free species in the galaxy. The Vellani High Council chamber was packed with people. News of the rescue mission had spread quickly through the city. Citizens wanted to hear what had happened at Grimhold Prime. Elder Corrin sat at the center of the council circle, looking older than his many years. The unauthorized mission had put him in a difficult position. As a leader, he had to maintain order. But as a person, he could not ignore the courage shown by the volunteers. Nala stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by the rescued humans and surviving Vellani volunteers. She could feel hundreds of eyes watching her. Some looked angry, others curious. Many seemed proud. "You defied the Council's direct orders," Elder Corrin began. "You risked war with the Korthak Empire. You cost the lives of 28 brave Vellani." The chamber was completely quiet. Everyone waited to hear what punishment would come. "But," Elder Corrin continued, "you also saved 35 innocent lives. You exposed a threat to the entire galaxy. And you proved that our people still remember what true courage means." He stood up slowly, his old bones creaking. "Tell us what you learned at Grimhold Prime." Nala described everything they had discovered. How the Korthak were using human prisoners as forced engineers. How they had improved their weapons and ships with stolen technology. How they were preparing for a massive war against all free species. "Show them the technical data," Kyung-Soo suggested. Do-Hyun, who had survived the battle, connected his portable computer to the chamber's main display. Technical drawings and specifications filled the air above the council circle. The improvements to Korthak military technology were impressive and terrifying. They have new shield generators that are 50% stronger, Do-Hyun explained. Their weapons charge faster and hit harder. Their ship engines are more efficient, giving them longer range. Council member Baron looked shocked. "All of this from human knowledge?" "The humans were forced to work," Nala said, "but their creativity and problem-solving abilities are remarkable. The Korthak have taken advantage of that." Elder Corrin studied the technical displays carefully. He was old, but his mind was still sharp. "If the Korthak have these advantages, they will be nearly unstoppable in war. That is why we had to act," Nala said. "Every day those humans remained prisoners. The Korthak grew stronger. Every day. We waited made the coming war more dangerous for everyone." Captain Minho, who had just arrived from his trip to human space, was allowed to address the council. He looked much healthier after medical treatment, though he was still thin from his months as a slave. "The human government is grateful for what the Vellani volunteers did," Minho said. "But we are also terrified by what we learned. The Korthak are not just planning to expand their territory. They want to enslave every advanced species in the galaxy." He activated his own data display, showing intelligence gathered during his captivity. "They have target lists, worlds to attack, species to capture, technologies to steal. Every major civilization is on their list. The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. The Nexari were targeted for their advanced computers. The Draconis were wanted for their military tactics. The Aurians were valuable for their wealth and trade networks. Even the Villani are on the list, Minho continued. They want our peaceful reputation. They think they can use it to infiltrate other species' defenses. This revelation sent shocked whispers through the chamber. The Villani had thought their peaceful nature protected them from such threats. They had been wrong. Elder Corrin raised his hand for silence. How long do we have before they attack? According to the intelligence we gathered, maybe 6 months, Minho replied. They are building new ships with the improved technology. They are training more soldiers. When they move, it will be fast and overwhelming. What do the other species say? Asked Council Member Yorin. Surely they understand the threat now. Minho's expression became grim. Some do, some do not. The Nexari are taking it seriously. They are upgrading their defenses. The Draconis are preparing for war, but others still think they can negotiate or hide. The Aurians believe they can buy safety by offering tribute, Kyungsoo added. They do not understand that the Korthak want slaves, not trade partners. This was the moment that changed everything for the Villani High Council. For 500 years, they had believed that peace could be maintained by avoiding conflict. Now they learned that sometimes evil forces do not care about your peaceful intentions. Elder Corrin stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. His old voice carried to every corner of the room. For generations, we have believed that the best way to preserve peace was to stay out of wars. We thought that by remaining neutral, we could avoid the violence that consumed other species. He paused, looking at the rescued humans and the brave Villani volunteers. But peace is not the absence of conflict. True peace is the protection of innocent life from those who would destroy it. Peace is making sure that good people can live without fear of evil ones. The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Elder Corrin was known for his commitment to non-violence. These words suggested a major change in Villani policy. The volunteers who went to Grimhold Prime understood something that the council forgot, Elder Corrin continued. When you have the power to help innocent people, and you choose not to act, you become partly responsible for their suffering. He looked directly at Nala. You saw a debt that needed to be paid. You saw lives that needed to be saved. You saw evil that needed to be stopped. And you acted, even when your government would not. Are you saying the council was wrong? Asked Council Member Tess. I am saying the council was afraid, Elder Corrin replied honestly. We were so worried about maintaining our peaceful way of life that we forgot why peace is worth having in the first place. The elder walked over to where Jinwoo was sitting, with the other rescued humans. The human engineer stood up respectfully. You started this, Elder Corrin said to Jinwoo. When you saved Nala, you planted a seed. That seed grew into a rescue mission. Now it is growing into something much larger. I just helped someone who was hurt, Jinwoo said quietly. Anyone would have done the same. No, Elder Corrin said firmly. Not anyone. That is the problem. Too many people, too many species choose to look away when others suffer. They find excuses for inaction. They convince themselves that other people's problems are not their responsibility. He turned to address the entire chamber. The Korthak Empire exists because good people have allowed it to exist. Every time they conquered a world and we did nothing, we made them stronger. Every time they took slaves and we looked away, we became part of the problem. The chamber was completely silent now. Everyone understood what Elder Corrin was suggesting. "The age of Vallani neutrality is over," he announced. "We cannot remain peaceful while evil spreads across the galaxy. We cannot save ourselves by abandoning others." Council Member Barron stood up. "Are you proposing that we go to war?" "I am proposing that we fight for peace," Elder Corrin replied. "Real peace. The kind that protects innocent life. The kind that stops evil before it can spread." Over the next several hours, the Council debated this fundamental change in Vallani philosophy. Some members argued that war would destroy everything. They had built over 5 centuries of peace. Others said that peace without justice was meaningless. In the end, the vote was close. 7 members supported Elder Corrin's proposal, 6 opposed it. By a single vote, the Vallani committed themselves to active resistance against the Korthak Empire. But the decision went beyond just one species. Messages were sent to every major civilization in the galaxy, sharing the intelligence gathered during the rescue mission. The Vallani offered to coordinate a defensive alliance. "We call it the Freedom Coalition," Elder Corrin announced as the council session ended. "Any species that believes in protecting innocent life is welcome to join." The response was mixed. Some species, frightened by the intelligence reports, agreed to join immediately. Others wanted to try diplomacy first. A few still believed they could avoid the conflict entirely. But something important had happened. The galaxy's most peaceful species had declared that some things were worth fighting for. That moral example would influence other civilizations in the difficult months ahead. As news of the coalition spread, Nala found herself appointed as one of its primary coordinators. She would work with representatives from other species to prepare defenses against the coming Korthak invasion. "Are you ready for this?" Jinwoo asked her, as they stood together on the council building's observation deck, looking out over the peaceful city. "No," Nala said honestly. "I am a trader, not a military leader, but I learned something from you. Sometimes you do what needs to be done, whether you are ready or not." Below them, the city was changing. Factories that had produced trade goods were being converted to make defense equipment. Training centers were being established for civilian volunteers. The Vallani were preparing for something they had not done in 5 centuries. They were preparing for war. "Do you think we can win?" Jinwoo asked. "I think we can try," Nala replied. "And sometimes trying is enough to change everything." The rescue mission had saved 35 human lives, but its real impact was much larger. It had awakened the galaxy's conscience. It had shown the Galactic Council chamber had never seen anything like it. Representatives from 43 different species sat together, united by a common threat. The Freedom Coalition had grown far beyond what anyone had imagined. Nala stood at the central podium, looking out at the assembled delegates. 6 months ago, she had been a simple trader. Now she was speaking for an alliance that spanned half the galaxy. "The Korthak Empire launches their invasion in 12 hours, she announced. "Our scouts report over 3,000 warships moving toward Coalition space. This will be the largest military action in galactic history." The chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Everyone knew that this battle would determine whether free species could survive in the galaxy or whether they would all become slaves of the Empire. "But we are ready," Nala continued. "Thanks to the intelligence gathered during the human rescue mission, we know their capabilities. Thanks to the technical knowledge shared by human engineers, we have improved our own defenses. Thanks to the Courage shown by Volani volunteers, species that had never worked together, are now fighting side by side. In the front row, Jinwoo sat with the other human representatives. He wore the uniform of the Coalition Engineering Corps, a joint organization that combined the technical skills of multiple species. Beside him sat Do-yun, who had become the Coalition's chief weapons designer. The Nexari have provided advanced computer systems that link all our fleets, Nala reported. The Draconis have trained our military commanders in battle tactics. The Orions have funded the construction of 200 new warships. What she did not mention was the cost. The Coalition had spent enormous resources preparing for this war. Entire economies had been converted to military production. Young people from dozens of species had volunteered to fight an enemy they had never seen. Most importantly, Nala said, we have learned to trust each other. Humans work alongside Volani. Nexari serve under Draconis commanders. Orion merchants have become soldiers. We have become something new, not just an alliance of species, but a community of beings who believe that innocent life must be protected. Admiral Park of Earth's fleet spoke next. He looked older than he had a year ago, aged by the responsibility of preparing humanity for its first major space war. Human engineering teams have worked with coalition partners to develop new defensive technologies, he reported. Our shields are stronger. Our weapons are more precise. Our ships can coordinate better than ever before. He paused, looking at Jinwoo with respect. This all began when one human chose to save one alien. That single act of kindness has grown into the largest military alliance in galactic history. It proves that moral courage can change the universe. Hanil, now a coalition tactical coordinator, activated a holographic display showing the battle plan. Red symbols showed Korthak forces. Blue symbols represented coalition fleets. The enemy will attack simultaneously at 17 different worlds, Hanil explained. They expect to overwhelm us with their numbers and superior technology, but they do not understand what they are really fighting. He highlighted key defensive positions throughout coalition space.